All right, so where were we again? Yeah, hey folks. Okay,
Last time on the Black Files, we blacked out real bad. Sorry about that.
we
Sorry about that,
filed
but
we filed so hard that we blacked out.
we did it. We tried out. We can actually start talking about the important things. We were briefly going after a small retooling of what happened to the man who is considered to be an author of the video game industry, Mr. Hideo Kojima himself,
An
and his
auteur. Yeah,
Tom author. Thank you.
yeah, folks, welcome back to the Black Files. Thank you guys for
Sorry about
joining
that,
us.
guys.
It's literally my computer decided, no, you guys are not allowed to have fun. I'm not liking this. I don't like that. I want you guys to be mean. You know what I say? Screw you. I will restart you, and you will get that pouty-ass demeanor out of my house, or so help me, I can't be held responsible for what I might do to you. Computer.
Exactly. Do you share the new link just in case?
No. All right, so first off, Jose, this was what I was going to do for you here. I was going to play you a little sonata.
Yeah. Oh my God! It's a little too late for that, but thank you. I appreciate that. I appreciate that you've thought of me.
This is in memoriam, in memento mori of the fact that the computer was trying to crap out and not let us have the show.
Exactly. Now, as you guys know, Mr. Kojima had a very tumultuous exit from the office of Konami, who basically decided that he was not giving them the massive world industry breaking results he wanted for his budget. This resulted on the man being basically bombarded by harassment inside his own office. And according to Jeff Keighley, during the last 6 months of Metal Gear Solid 5's development, they basically stuck him in a room. According to him, he couldn't even talk to them. He had to talk to someone else. That's how the game was finished. As you can imagine, for a man who likes to work very closely with the dev team and who likes to get his fans dirty with the development process, that kind of treatment is, quite frankly, torturous.
Insulting is what it is.
It is.
Yeah.
The fact that Metal Gear 5, despite being clearly incomplete, still made as much money as it did was proof that they should have let the man cook. But they didn't, and Sony stepped in to pick up the slack, allowing the man to get out of that place, travel through greener pastures, and open his own studios, Kojima Studios, or rather,
No,
the
Kojima-
Ludens office.
Angel, it's Kojima Productions.
Yeah, Kojima Productions, with his own mascot, the Ludens, the man that plays.
No, the Homo Ludens.
Homo Ludens, thank you, the man that plays. And, being Kojima, now that he was left completely unfeathered from the shackles of the bastards that kept him down, the first thing he decided was to take a massive goddamn risk and release Death Stranding. A game so incredibly prophetic that despite the fact that it was inspired by the events of 2015, it managed to nail down the events of 2020, 21, and 22 in a row.
Angel, you have to understand something very important.
What's
Stranding
that?
didn't come out in 2015. That's when Metal Gear Solid 5 came out. Death Stranding came out in 2019.
I know, but I'm telling you that he started developing the idea for Death Stranding in 2015. It had nothing to do with the paninis, but somehow he cleaned out the whole restaurant all the same.
He cleaned
he
cleaned house, and it was a nightmare, wasn't it?
Oh no, it was a wonderful dream. As you can imagine, people were somewhat reasonably skeptical of a game that was basically have you working with the idea of being the Amazon delivery man. But not only did the game come out to surprisingly good reviews and an incredible amount of gameplay and positive reception, despite the understandable skepticism, the COVID pandemic somehow worked to its advantage, allowing people to resonate with the game they were playing even harder. As a result, what people expected to be a sleeper hit became a giant hit that made him a bajillion gorillion dollars and guaranteed him a sequel. However, we are not here to talk about Death Stranding, or rather, this entire episode is not going to be about Death Stranding, because Mr. Kojima saw it fit to bless us with a little documentary called Hideo Kojima, Connecting Worlds, where we got to see an insight to his thought process, the thought process of the people that work with him, and more importantly, what drives a man like that to make masterpieces with this. And if I may say, to quote the iconic words of Mr. Martin Scorsese, Kino.
For the record, that's only ever been in the meme. I don't think he's ever said that in.
No, I'm pretty sure he said that. My dad works for Scorsese. He told me he said it.
No, he doesn't.
Yes, he does. Shut your filthy
Your
mouth.
dad works with my dad.
Keep your forked tongue behind your teeth.
No.
You-
Number
But-
one, you can't get me to fork my tongue if your life depended on it. I've seen that, and while some folks might find that kinky, I just can't see myself doing that. You know, the split tongue thingy. You know,
Oh my goodness.
so that's number one. And number two, I was actually going to bring up since you brought up the mascot of the Homo Ludens. Fun fact: the concept of Homo Ludens, the man that plays, actually comes off of a 1938 a book written by a cultural theorist by the name of Johann Huizinga. And basically,
I'm looking at the book right now, in fact.
Yep.
It's called A Study of Play Element in Culture.
Yeah, exactly. And basically, just like remember how we have to have some form of play and some form of interaction for our world and for our community to be one. And lo and behold,
Wow.
and lo and behold, it bore fruit just under 100 years later, with Hideo Kojima trying to bring the concept of Homo Ludens into the popular cultural zeitgeist in order to help reconnect the world.
Reconnect the world, indeed. So me and Juancho and Joe got a chance to sit down and watch the commercial. I myself watched it just a
Documentary.
few
Commercial.
documentary. Sorry,
You called
it's a commercial, right? Because he sold me on that shit.
Oh God! Oh, real quick.
Nice
Wolves in the-
rebound.
Wolves in the Mist, Gene Rick, the Struggler, and Nikki Bella are all back, and so
Thank
is
you,
the Legend
guys.
of the
We
Traveling
appreciate it.
TARDIS. Hey, up there,
Oh
TARDIS.
yeah.
Says
Thank-
ice milk.
thank you, thank
heat,
you.
And overpoured butter theater popcorn. There's no such thing as too much butter in your theater popcorn.
More. Melt the whole bar on top of my bucket. More.
It's like Parmesan cheese over your plate at Olive Garden.
Yeah.
But there's no more cheese.
You can never.
Go get another block.
You can never have enough.
Never.
It's just like that commercial of that poor man grating cheese until the poor client is buried under a mountain, just going, "Say when? Say when? Say when?" Until the guy's just a hand coming out of a pile of yellow, going, "Okay."
Holy Lord. Okay, so yeah,
Indeed.
fun fact: this documentary, which is a very deft, svelte little 58-minute presentation, was produced not only by Kojima Productions directly, but also produced by PlayStation Studios. As in, Sony went ahead and said, "Hey, you know that movie studio we built exclusively to develop all of our video game properties into movies? Let's do that.
We should do something with that, shouldn't we?
We should do something with that, but just smaller, just a little bit more simple." Okay, what do? Well, we've actually had a call with the folks at Kojima Productions. They're in the middle of making Death Stranding. They want to take all their behind-the-scenes footage that Kojima has been filming without anyone realizing that he's filming them without their knowledge, and they wants to slap that together into a documentary. But they don't know that he's filming. Listen, it's Kojima. You're not going to question this guy. Are we going to do this or not? Yeah, sure.
No.
Remember what they told poor normal readers? Listen, just say yes to whatever he tells you. Like, even if he confuses you, just say yes. And poor normal readers, I swear to God, that man spends 90% of the documentary bewildered, and the other 10% going, "Oh,
Live right now, by the way.
oh."
Yeah, he was basically mind blown the entire time in this documentary. So this was not only, like Angel said, not only an insight into some of the bits and pieces that went into the making of Death Stranding, but also getting a little bit into the mind of Kojima himself. He got a lot of narration in on his own, talking about his youth, talking about growing up, the sort of imagination and the sort of wild flights of fancy he would have as a child. Not only that, but also growing up into a young man, where folks in the mid '80s would look at arcades, at video game arcades, and say that's a children's place, or that's a place for degenerates. That's not a savory place to be. And he's like, but these are children's games. This is fun. People want to come here to have fun. Let's make this fun. You know, and you see, and it's really sweet because the way they produce this shit, those a couple of those segments where you see Kojima talking about his youth and his childhood are actually little animated like depictions, like sort of narrated by
there's a couple of cool like anime segments there.
Yeah, and
it's really good. I like that.
They're little segments about his life, of him growing up and him being so bewildered by his own stuff over here and overwhelmed by his own imagination. But then he remembers he's just pretending there's a boogeyman. There's nothing to be worried about. It's gonna be okay. So yeah, it's crazy, but it's sweet, and it's the best kind of sweetness that you could ask for. Because, like I said, it gives you that la ternura. What's the word I'm looking for? Help me out.
Tenderness.
What's it? Tenderness. Thank you.
Tenderness. Yeah.
And Strugglers over here saying it's a 50-minute advertisement for Death Stranding 2. It's not, because it doesn't show anything about Death Stranding 2. And also, Jeannie Rick is back in here, and she's dropped. They dropped a $1.99 super chat.
Thank you so much.
Thank you very much.
Sorry that we appreciate it. Every second and every moment you spend with us is worth more than all the money in the world. Give us your money, though.
And Jeannie Rick is you dork. Jeannie Rick is saying, "I'm happy I'm off work tonight, so I could catch you guys live." Thank you for catching us live here, Jeannie Rick. Yeah, what happened earlier? The stream just stopped. Okay, to re-answer that question, Jeannie Rick and anyone else, the computer was being stupid. I restarted the computer. I tried to restart the stream right away, but it wouldn't let me, so I had to do a hard restart on everything, so that's why we're back here. So I appreciate you guys coming back. Thank you. So where were we? We were okay, it showed like this tenderness, and it shows this side of this young guy who was growing up without, basically with his father having passed away when he was very young. He even mentions in this documentary, like, with him wanting to go into the video game business, he's like, "Oh, my father was a very frightening man. He would not have approved of that at all. He would not let me, and I don't think he would have liked that I had gone into that business at all."
It would have been that would have been a strict upbringing for Kojima if his dad didn't pass away.
The funniest thing about this is the realization that Kojima has been going against the current from the day he decided to pursue his dream. During the childhood sections, he specifically mentions that because he's from Kansai, like, it's like a cultural thing there. He likes to make people laugh. He likes to make people feel at ease with themselves. So when he's with outside people, he liked to make them laugh, and he was cheerful and outstanding and outgoing. But whenever he would be alone, he would just put on the headphones, hug his knees, and cry while listening to music. And I'm like, damn, he was just like me, for real. And after his father passed away during the events of passing away, he mentioned that the fact that his father wasn't there anymore gave him the courage to go pursue a career. But aside from his mom, no one thought it would work. Almost every person he knew, aside from his mom, who basically gave him the encouragement to try it out, was telling him, "Bro, this is never going to work." And then when he actually gets into the video game industry, because, as he said it himself, my parents witnessed and they experienced the war. So I didn't want to portray combat as something heroic. Remember, what console did he start with again, Juan?
The MSX.
The MSX. But you gotta understand, since games were still basically in their growing period during that time, action and violence and getting things hooking up the audience as quickly as possible was the go-to. But he wanted to try something different. He didn't want to make a series of games where combat was seen as something obligatory or something heroic. So when he pitched the idea of the Metal Gear games, predictably everybody went, "Bro, there is no way this is gonna work. Are you telling me you want to make a game where you encourage the player to not engage in violence? That is crazy. That is never going to work." And lo and behold, he made it work. Again.
Like, I'm actually pulling up the the history. So just so any of you guys who don't know what in the hell this MSX is, I'm going to show you guys. This is the blasted MSX console. This is the Sony version of the MSX. Look at this. That was the video game console. It's a home computer video game console. You would actually take the game. It's a cartridge with maybe 8-bit freaking functionality or 16-bit, no, not 16-bit, 8-bit, if they're fucking lucky, and you load it top down and you play it on your monitor and you play it that way. It was a freaking computer. And it was wild. This was back in 1983. This is ancient ways of gaming.
Yeah.
That's like in the same. That's like as old as Atari, isn't it?
Yeah. Very good take.
I actually want to find out how old the Atari 2600, right?
Yeah.
Yep.
Atari 2600.
No, it's younger than that because the Atari 2600 came out in 1977. Yeah.
Okay, but still, point being, that's up there, man. That's pre-Nintendo.
Yeah, like this was a console before consoles were considered a household name. And ironically, it worked in his favor because the console itself didn't have enough memory to actually put too many enemies. So it actually worked for the favor of his vision of make a game with few enemies, but the enemies can kill you very easily. So I will encourage the player to play it safe, to not rely on aggression and constant combat to get by and basically make them sneak around. Now, I'm pretty sure he didn't invent the concept of stealth in video games, obviously, but let's not lie to ourselves. My man popularized it because, let me put it this way, there is plenty of video game franchises out there that try the stealth franchise. Splinter Cell is one of the most well-known and famous ones. But when I say stealth video game, what do most people think of?
We think of Metal Gear and Metal Gear Solid.
Obviously,
exactly.
Yeah, that's like the first thing that comes to mind.
Even if he wasn't the inventor, I don't know if anything came before him, the man was a trendsetter because he was willing to do the one thing that many other game the developers were doing at the time. They were willing to make a risk.
Take a risk.
Yeah, the documentary itself contacted a lot of people that work with him, and they dropped a lot of good lines. The director and writer of the scenario claims that Kojima is always at an interplay between intellect and tuition, and he's fighting all the time. I don't know with whom, maybe just himself.
And yeah, the folks that they managed to get on this documentary to talk with them, it was just like a star-studded fucking cast. Obviously,
yes,
with this being part and parcel with the production of the first Death Stranding, you had Norman Reedus, you had Mads Mikkelsen, you had Troy Baker, you had Guillermo del Toro, and you also had Lea Seydoux, who, by the way, one of the...
Did you already say Jeff Keighley?
Jeff Keighley.
mentioned Jeff Keighley, but Jeff Keighley wasn't in the making of Death Stranding, is what I was trying to say.
Yes, he was. Oh, no, I mean, I thought you meant the documentary. No, he was in the documentary, not in the actual game itself.
Yeah,
no.
That's what I was trying to say.
Okay.
Well, no, the bit that gets me is that in the segment where they actually talk, where you actually have Lea Seydoux, she's in a recording booth. And what they're doing is that they're having her do not only redoing some of the dialogue of her character, Fragile, but also they've got her set up with motion capture dots. She's wearing a motion capture hat. She's got some of the face little dots on her to do mocap, so that way not only is she giving the vocal performance, but they're also recording her. And she's actually talks this like real sweet about how they've been trying to nail just this one bit of dialogue while she's in the booth, and you have Kojima outside of the booth with a translator and with like the sound techs and all those people, and Kojima's directing her, and the translator's letting him know, okay, so with this line, what you're saying is, how did you get this? How did you get this? All I can, I don't know what to say except thank you. Your thinking is like, there have been plenty of attempts to bring this package to you for the longest time, and no one else has succeeded. You're surprised, you're relieved, you're so grateful, you're so happy. I wouldn't say you're jubilant, but you're just underneath jubilation. Is where that is, and that's like the idea that Kojima's telling her. And once Lea, she goes ahead and does another couple takes, she turns around and looks out the booth of the window, and Kojima just
perfect.
All right, we got it. Yes, and you see both of them. You see Seydoux and you see Kojima, and obviously everyone else in the tech team and the translator. They're all just like freaking smiles, all like, yes, okay, good,
nailed it. Good.
Nailed it.
Okay, nailed it.
And there is a certain spirit throughout the whole documentary that can only be described as hands-on. In every aspect that they show the development, Kojima is 100% there. He's in every meeting. He's in every discussion. He specifically, you notice that he doesn't seem to delegate that much. He speaks directly to the graphics designers, the music people, the voice actors. You see him actually test playing the game himself and going, "Oh, it crashed," laughing and running off to talk to the tech people.
I remember that. Yeah, he's like in one of the little test bits where he's actually going through the experience, the dev model PS4 and console and the computer that they're doing on, they're like, crash. And you see him just laughing off like, guys, get over here. Oh, God.
They do comment on that specifically in the documentary. One thing that they do tackle is that this commercial is documentary. Sorry. I mean, I'm being sold. So
yeah.
It's not just about the idea of the dream and the vision and whatever. It does tackle some important practical issues of the development process right now. Like the part that got to me was seeing Shinji Mikami, the guy who made Resident Evil, who was invited to the documentary, explaining like, yeah, back in the day, they give you like 100 million yen and tell you, do whatever you want. That's great. But now when the budget is like 200, 300 like billion yen, like you can't afford to make mistakes. And Kojima himself mentions, back in the day, if I made a flop, the team would get shuffled around and they would still get their paychecks. But right now, if I make a flop, then there's a chance that nobody gets to make anything again. And between
he's on his own production, now that he's running his own studio, like that was what he was mentioning. Like now that the Kojima Productions is all on me, our first impression has to knock it out of the park so that my team can be employed, so that they can work and they make a living. And that's like the spirit of, he's not just looking out for himself, he's looking out for his crew, he's looking out for his team. He's a proper captain of his ship.
Yeah. As the music developer mentions, there's a constant struggle between making your idea a reality and how much money you have to spend on that idea. Being able to manage the budget with the vision of the director is an incredibly difficult aspect. The fact that he manages to do it, he specifically refers to it as playing Russian roulette with 6 bullets. It's not 100% guaranteed, and it's even harder now that everything is more difficult. But if you can nail it properly, the music director goes on to describe that there is a Darwinian battle going on in your mind where the strongest ideas will survive and they will granulate in the front of your head until you put them on paper. And if you can make the rest of your development team understand your point of view of how the idea came together, then, only then can you have something great because everybody's working on the same plot. Well, that and the fact that Kojima apparently is terrifyingly effective on his work ethic. Like, the guys at the music team were going, "Does this man sleep?"
That reminds me of that one freaking joke, because and I know you know it, in the movie Thank You for Smoking, what's his face?
Yeah.
No, what's his face? He's Aaron Eckhart's character is like, oh, okay, what's going on? Dude, it's like, what? 3 in the morning. It's 8 a.m. over in London in the Neo Empire.
8 a.m. in the old, 7 a.m. in the old Empire.
Right? You know what?
When do you sleep?
It's the future over there. When do you sleep?
Yeah, when do you...
Sundays.
Sundays. Yeah. But it's beautiful to see the whole thing come together because they don't actually go much into the development of the game, more about the idea of how they develop the game. In between the cuts, you see the interviews with the actual actors themselves. And it's fascinating to see the difference between somebody who's been in this industry and somebody who hasn't. Because you have, on one hand, Norman Reedus. And he's like, okay, first off, I had no idea what the hell was going on. When they took me into the office, they just told me, just say yes to whatever he tells you. And for like 90% of the filming and the mocapping, I have no idea what the fuck is going on. But then he tells me how that goes with this. And then I go, oh... And Norman's face when he goes, "Oh, I got it." You can see that scene when he's talking to Kojima, he's like, looking at the script, and he's very confused. And then he gets to the next page and he goes, "Oh," and he has this realization, like, "Oh, there it is. I finally understand."
It's like, okay, you're not getting the full script of a movie together until it's coming in, and everything's being made out of order in some cases when you're filming. So that's sort of the same experience that Regis was talking about in making the game. Real quick.
And on the opposite. Oh, sorry, go ahead.
Minor pause. because I want to check in on the chat here. Now, Wolves in the Mist, she's asking here, and this is a question for you, Jose, because I know you can help us out with this one. Saying, hey, welcome back, boys. Okay, so my husband and I have a question. We've been following a channel on YouTube called Dreadmare, and they dropped a video on Sean Spears returning to the WWE for the new Bray Wyatt project. Is the Dreadmare channel talking about Bo Dallas coming back? Real or fake? My husband can't tell. So is the Dreadmare channel on YouTube? Is it real, you guys, or is it fan made? Or my husband and I are wondering.
All right, so allow me to clear it up
for his brother.
Yeah. Okay. So
small intermission for the wrestling ring.
All right, guys, allow me.
Yep.
So. Listen, the Ravens flock, this is our channel. This is our only channel on YouTube. We do not have any other channels out there. And
That's
on this channel... Okay, well, I know, I'm not finished.
Okay.
As far as Sean Spears goes, yes, I did watch the NXT. I will talk about it tomorrow night.
All right.
Now, as far as everything else goes, I really can't comment. The Bray Wyatt character, yeah, the Bo Dallas and stuff. I really can't comment on that because I haven't heard any developing news on that.
All right. Well, in that case, it looks like you've got homework for tomorrow night. So, as far as the Bray Wyatt, Bo Dallas, and Sean Spears project, like the situation is concerned, we can give a much more educated answer tomorrow night. Is that good?
Yeah, absolutely. Yeah, of course. Dreadmere. I haven't heard of that channel.
Yeah.
Feel free to join us tomorrow so we can talk about wrestling. Because right now we're talking about mind wrestling.
Right.
Angel.
Now, on the opposite side of... sorry, we're saying?
No, I was going to say, getting back in here, because you were talking about how we've got the cast of Death Stranding all talking about this. We've got Troy Baker, we've got Lea Seydoux, we've got Guillermo del Toro, Norman Reedus, and it's not just these folks. You also had, like you mentioned, Shinji Mikami, the creator of Resident Evil here, he was actually going nuts over him, but he wasn't the only guy going nuts. Also, acclaimed anime filmmaker Mamoru Oshii was in
yeah, our boy.
Yeah.
So, for those of you who do not know anything about anime or animus and mangas, Mamoru Oshii, he is the man. He was helping make the glorious world of cinema come forward the way it has. And let me just cite a few tiny examples here. Off the top of my head, this tiny movie that he helped direct in 1995, this anime movie, you might know it. It's called... oh, wow. It's called Ghost in the Shell!
Oh, yeah, that little indie project.
Yeah, that tiny little thing.
I wonder if it went anywhere. You know, I haven't heard of it for a while.
Yeah, no, it's only based on the acclaimed cyberpunk sci-fi cop thriller and manga by Shiro Masamune, which spawned a myriad of animated motion pictures, features, a live-action adaptation starring Scarlett Johansson. Your mileage may vary with that. I still don't have a problem with that one. And, of course, this fucking movie that they made in 1990 goddamn 5, and then 9 years later, in 2000 and what was it? 2004 was it? Yeah. They come out
2004
with Ghost of the Shell 2 Innocence because, goddammit, Mamoru Oshii cannot stop cooking. All right?
No, literally, this man is the best of chefs, and they invited him to the fanciest of kitchens.
And even he's got nothing but praise for Kojima-san.
I mean, if the guy who made Ghost in the Shell praises your work, which in itself has been highly inspired by his work, I mean, come on, dude.
Right.
Like, damn, that's just fantastic. And speaking of praising, though, as I was saying before, Norman Reedus, who mostly does live-action work, was predictably flabbergasted at this project. Yeah. Now, the funny thing is, you can see the contrast between him and the other two major key players in the production. The first one is Troy Baker, who has done, as you know, a shit ton of work in video game work. And he explains that the key to making a good project like this is trust. You have to trust that the director knows what he's doing, even if you yourself don't know what you're doing. And the funniest thing is that because Mads Mikkelsen has worked in so many movies and so many projects through his entire career, he acclimated to the whole thing immediately. So he has the exact same opinion. And he's like in the zone. He specifically says that there's a certain freedom in working like this because you don't have to worry about anything except doing exactly what he tells you. Because you know what he's doing, he has a solid, clear vision, and you know you are in good hands. As Hideo himself explains, and corroborated by Mr. Guillermo del Toro, popular games today have a Hollywood feel to them. Guns, violence, fast-paced action. He specifically claims that most games, and I find myself hard-pressed to deny him, most modern games are so similar, you cannot tell the title by looking at the scene. The newer it is, the more people will fear it. So Hideo, with his frame of mind, his method of production, he has become I love this, the enemy of the algorithm.
Yeah, that's the most
very fitting.
That is a sick definition of work, because even within his own genre, Hideo Kojima likes to buck the trend. There are other stealth games, but I cannot imagine a single stealth game that I ever played that compares to Metal Gear in both the scope of the story, the breadth of its mechanics, and its sheer painstaking attention to detail. He refuses to give you the same thing. Every single Metal Gear game, the only thing they have in common is the stealth mechanics. Every single one has added something new or surprised you in some way or another, because, as he himself said it, he's trying to find the balance between making something that is edgy, but at the same time appealing to the masses. And that is a very difficult tightrope to walk.
No kidding. It's gossamer fucking thin to try to walk that line. But he knocked him out banger after banger after banger after certified fucking banger. He had nothing but hits on him. The only time that he really had to sort of quote unquote step back in and quote unquote fix his own shit, if you would, was when they made Metal Gear Solid Portable Ops. And while the story was like, it's okay, we get that, but it doesn't quite feel right, that's when Kojima said, fine, I guess I'll do another one. And that's when he came out with Peace Walker.
Which was fantastic.
For the PSP.
Yeah, and Kojima is very hands-on on his projects, but that also means that when he's not hands-on, you feel his absence. As he said at the beginning of the documentary, when you see a Hideo Kojima game, it's not a matter of course, I'm not going to forget the poster girls, my man. You can't forget the poster girls. When Kojima says a Hideo Kojima game, he's not trying to brag about it. He's telling you that his handwork, his attention to detail is in the project. He's not trying to say that as a boast. He's trying to put it as a mark of quality. Like, he's giving you the full experience, and that's why he can stick to something that feels different. And more importantly, that's why he was willing to take such a massive risk with Death Stranding. The producer of the story writer says, you cannot give the audience what they want all the time. You have to make them understand that sometimes they want something they don't know. The risk is that they won't accept something that feels too radical, but the upside is, if you succeed, you can change the medium. And the words at the end stuck with me because it felt so... How do I put this? I'm trying to put this in a way that makes sense. Because Kojima is a paradoxical man. If he gets on stage, he normally tells me things that would make me spit on the face of any other video game producer. Let's be honest, guys. With the way that the video game industry has been going right now, if somebody walked up to you on stage and told you, I'm trying to make movies and games feel closer together,
That's what what he's doing with the OD game that he announced with Jordan Peele.
But if anybody else told you that, you'd be like, this project is cooked. It's over. It is so Jober, it's not even over.
Not even that. He would just be like, no, this guy's fucking crazy. There's no way. There's too much difference.
This was never going to work.
You have the cinema purists who that is not Kino. This is it's the same shit. You want to know what that reminds me of? Sorry. The sort of segregation between mediums in order to present a work of art. That actually reminds me of the snooty ass shit that I remember from the early aughts from when George Lucas decided to make the prequel trilogy of Star Wars, and he filmed episodes 2 and 3 using digital cameras for the very first time, and there was apparently there was a hullabaloo and this whole fucking rack of like, oh, that's not really cinema, he's just making a fancy video camera, it's just video, it's not true cinema, there's nothing beautiful and artistic about it. And like one fucking guy's like, maybe digital video is more like modern art and not even good modern art yet, maybe. And like,
damn,
I'm like over here thinking, do you guys know what the fuck he did that for? Lucas made the prequel trilogy, like 2 out of 3 of the movies using digital cameras, literally simplify the workflow.
Yeah, just get from point A to point B a little faster. Just
a little bit faster, because having to take the 35mm film, develop it, get that shit, and then getting to see the dailies, so you actually know which fucking take worked with full sound on there. It's like in a whole nother day. You wouldn't even get to see what you're doing, at least with the digital cameras that he was working with. That shit was like that shit was turnaround by the end of the day. And the fucking cameras that they had him go for, which by the way apparently were also Sony cameras, go fucking figure. He had them specifically rigged up with these gigantic fucking Panavision fucking lenses of doom that had to be custom made and custom tailored, and they had to be even higher quality than you would have for 35mm cameras in order for it to actually imprint into the digital tape that they were filming it all in. The fucking cameras were almost the full length of my arm back in 2002 and 2005. Now what are we doing now? 20 years later.
20 years later, we have the cameras the size of like our freaking hands.
No,
like
the Canon Rebel SL2. That's the exact same camera that we're filming on the Ravens flock with. It's our like official camera of the flock.
Yeah.
This bitch can film at 24 frames a second. If George Lucas had this back in 2002, if you showed that to him, he would think you're some sort of voodoo witchcraft motherfucker, and maybe he might
his head would explode
and steal it from you.
Our hardware got smaller, but they work a lot better.
Exactly, mind you, the advance of technology cannot be stopped. But Juan makes an excellent point. The idea is if you're willing to make the enemies, then you have to be willing to make the risk. And it is.
To make the risk, you gotta be willing to make the enemies.
Thank you. Sorry about that. I messed up. But yeah, it is understated how ridiculous of a risk Kojima was taking when he made Death Stranding. Think about it. The man just got kicked out of Konami. His latest game, Metal Gear 5, was not as good story-wise as the previous games. He's banking on his already admittedly very good reputation to make something. And you think, well, obviously, anybody in that position, they would go back to what makes them comfortable. So everybody expected him to make like a spiritual successor to Metal Gear because that's what they know him to do the most. Nobody expected him to go, I'm going to make a game that is so anti-violence that you're going to be an Amazon delivery man in a post-apocalyptic world filled with Adric energies, and also Guillermo del Toro is there. The most complicated... Yeah.
I need to stop you for a moment.
What's up?
Did you say that Metal Gear Solid 5 wasn't good?
Heathen! Not as good as the others.
Heathen of the highest order!
Wait!
Heathen!
Wait!
Sinner!
Put the pitchfork down, I swear!
Say, shun him with me! Tell Angel how much of a horrible sinner he is! The worst kind of the most vile, despicable, horrible creature! Motherfucker! He gave us a guy who yelled at a giant robot ape controlled by a ginger psychic, and he made him one of the most compelling and psychotic villains in all of video gaming history, and he wore a fucking Lone Ranger mask!
Now, Juan, there's two things...
Juan, hear me out.
Wanto.
Put the fork down.
Hang on, Angel. Hang on, Angel. Juan, two things you need to remember. Number one, Angel is entitled to his opinion of what of his favorite Metal Gear Solid game.
Exactly,
and number
two,
just
like Angel likes to say, my opinion just happens to be the correct one.
And number two, I like Peace Walker more. Sorry.
Oh, well,
You
damn,
can
now he's
like
gonna kill his
one
own brother.
you can like one more than the other, but simply saying that MGS5 wasn't that well written or wasn't good.
No. You misunderstand me. I mean, not in the sense that it was bad. I mean that it was less good than the others because A, he didn't get to complete his vision, and B, you can tell the exact moment when he was not allowed to keep working on the game as much as he would during the last 6 months of the game. And I can tell you exactly what it is. At the halfway point of the game, at the halfway point of the story, at the thank you, Struggler. MGS3 is your favorite? You know what? That is actually like
Wait,
that is my second favorite.
Also, Brandon Torres is in the chat. Hey, up there, Brandon Torres. Welcome to the Black Files. He was talking about how digital cinema on the chat. He's saying DIT and transferring is so fast now with USB-C cables on set that you get footage delivered on the end of the day on set. I was a post-production supervisor.
I know, it's crazy.
Getting airy footage delivered. Let me see here and go over it on the same day. You see what I mean? And they fucking shat on Lucas for even daring to think of something like that. So those kind of fucking purists saying that, Kojima wanting to blend the mediums of films and video games and merge into something in between, that's the fucking highest treason and the fucking highest order of chicanery, and it's impure and it's disgusting and that stupid hoity-toity bullshit. Jose, you know
somebody has to willing to book it.
Jose, do me a favor. Go find Peter Capaldi and tell him to fucking bring his ass over here. We've got shit for him to be mad at.
Oh my god.
Yes. Now, one reason why MGS5 is so controversial is that you can tell the point where they basically wrestle the reins from him. Halfway to the point of the story, in order to advance the story to the proper ending of the game, you have to basically do all the missions you've done on hard mode. But aside from basically putting more enemies and increasing the damage they can do, the missions themselves are not that difficult. So you can complete the whole middle game, which is like 20 to 40 hours, depending how much time you put into getting everything you want. And then they tell you, okay, do it again, but harder, just so you can complete the game. And if it wasn't for the director's cut, we wouldn't even know how the game completed because the ending itself was not completed. So basically, that game, I feel it was as good because they didn't let him cook. So all of this coming together, Kojima having the balls to go out there and go, I'm going to make a game unlike anything people have done ever. I'm going to create the Strand type game where the main point is collaboration. And in fact, there will be little to no violence against players. He then goes on to extrapolate how he wants to create that feeling of loneliness, of sadness.
Oh, okay. I think I get your point now, Angel. So basically what you're saying is that Metal Gear Solid 5 was controversial, and the main reason is because there was a ceiling to how much Hideo Kojima was allowed to get away with in terms of production and storytelling in the game.
Exactly. They literally locked him up in a room for the last 6 months of production. He wasn't allowed to talk to his team. He had to talk to somebody who would talk to the team. Can you imagine doing that to a director of any movie?
Shit, yeah, I can see it, and it's fucking ridiculous.
It's insanity, but all the same, he still persevered and gave us at least a game that plays well. And that is the main key here. I think that's the reason why I'm willing to trust him. Well, as Struggler says, I'll take the word of Kojima over the word of people who failed our film school and are embarrassed to work in our games. Him and Joseph Fares, yeah, they know what's up.
Who's Joseph Fares, by the way?
What?
Joseph Fares, remind me.
Joseph Fares. Cinematographer. He made Chicago PD, The Rockville Slayer, Resurrection.
Right. Thank you.
He's that guy. So
why
here's the thing. This is the reason. Because the Kojimas. Now, the Kojima particles are getting into your brain. So here's the deal. What makes me trust Kojima is the fact that, okay, the man loves the film industry. 70% of his body is made of movies.
He specifically
refers to film.
He'll say it himself. As a matter of fact, I'll show you, folks.
It's on his Twitter page.
Oh, okay. I don't think Angel was finished.
Sorry, no,
it's okay. Keep doing it while he's.
But I'm just going to show the folks. Yeah.
Yeah, keep showing.
Kojima.
So,
game creator. 70% of my body is made of movies.
Now, here's what makes Kojima special, and more importantly, what makes him trustworthy. He refers to the movies as the sun, and he's the plant that takes in the sun. He photosynthesizes in the theater. But
that's almost word for word what he says in the freaking documentary. It's hilarious.
What makes him trustworthy is that he doesn't forget that he's making a video game. And I know this doesn't sound like much, but this is important. Because if you look at the AAA industry right now, they're not telling you directly, but they're basically trying to do what he's doing and failing miserably. Games with excessively long cutscenes that do nothing except tell you the things you already know. Incredibly easy hand-holdy gameplay, tutorials for everything. And they're writing so basic it hurts. I dare say I have not seen I have seen very few, if any, games on the Western industry tackle the subjects the way that he does. I'm not trying to gas him up. He really is this good. But at the end of the day, he remembers that he's making a video game. When he made Death Stranding,
learned the wrong lessons from him.
Thank you, they did. When he made Death Stranding, does the game have long cutscenes? Yes, it does. But you know what the game also has? Hours and hours and hours of gameplay. Very detailed gameplay. Okay, if you don't like the game, I get it. That's fine. It's not for everybody. But even Metal Gear Solid 4, which has almost 20 plus hours of... Actually, no, it has about 12 hours of cutscenes, still has a crap ton of gameplay to make up for it. And it's very good gameplay, with a lot of detail, mechanics, and, as he himself says, give the player room to think for themselves. Because the cutscenes are obviously the meat of the story, but you want the gameplay to make you want to go to the next cutscene. And he understands that. He wants to bring movies and games together, but he understands what makes a video game, which is why he hasn't fallen in the trap that so many companies fall into, that they put the cutscenes first and the gameplay second. You see him test it out himself. He wants you to want to go to the next cutscene. Does that make sense?
It does
Yeah,
make
that makes
absolute sense here. Sorry, is it you were going to say also?
No, I was just agreeing. It does make sense.
And I see struggle over here. We need more Kojimas and less Neil Druckmanns. Yeah, Duckman.
Fun fact, Neil Druckmann has announced that he's getting out of the industry. So we're getting our wish after all.
No, he's getting out of the video game industry so he could try to get into the movie
fuck
business.
Off.
So he can try to get into
go
the movie
away.
business. That's what he thinks he's capable of. Like, oh, I directed The Last of Us. Like, no, you didn't. This isn't a Neil Druckmann game. Not in the same way Kojima makes his stuff. You didn't insert any fucking theme in this and make the gameplay an integral part, an integral element in it. We're not the ones who have to play as Abby in The Last of Us 2 and stove in fucking Homeboy's head. You're not making us do it like Kojima made us shoot the boss ourselves in Metal Gear Solid 3. We had to do it.
Remember that time that you had to shoot a horse and it was somehow the saddest fucking thing in the world?
Oh, man. That was painful.
Yeah. Yeah, see? He makes you feel. The writing is... I think like they did this... The music girl from the music team comments that there is something beautiful and funny about Kojima in that he is earnest. Everything he tells you, no matter how insane or ridiculous it sounds, is 100% coming from his heart. And even if you don't care for his games, you have to appreciate the fact that when he puts his vision on those games, he genuinely wants you to enjoy it and see things the way he sees things. He's not trying to convince you to see things the way he does. He just wants you to stand next to him and see the world like he does. And even if you don't agree with his vision, goddamn, at least the gameplay is good.
He wants to show you, and he wants to give you something new to think about, and from there, you take with it what you will, which is what you're supposed to do with any sort of work of art. I want to show an example, and I don't know which one to show.
Take your time. We got a few minutes to squeeze out on this.
Oh no, we have plenty of time. Okay. Sorry, honey. I love you. Don't hate me. All right. So, as I mentioned on the first part of the program when it wasn't fucking crapping out on itself, when the computer wasn't dead yet, I mentioned that Zayanna Rose and Dragonfang and K-Storm are all artists as well. They're cosplayers. K-Storm particularly, they're a jack of all trades, master of none, which is greater than a master of one. Right now, they're getting into different forms of creating art. Right now, K-Storm is working on watercolor art, And oh, there's Sarah Serenity. Yeah, the stream crashed. It was a pain in the ass. We had to restart, and the computer crashed all at the same time. So we're back now. Okay, I'm gonna show you guys. This right here is an original K Storm bit of art right here. All right.
Ooh.
Now this is more for the folks at home. K Storm went out of her way to learn different technique in painting in watercolors, using different tools, using different mediums in order for her to be able to convey and test an image. And this image, this piece of art, is the end result of her work, of the study that she did in order for her to come up with this. Now, whatever you feel, whatever you think, whenever you see this K-Storm original is yours. No one else's. It might be that K-Storm is trying to convey an idea to you. It might be that she's literally just shitting this stuff out for the sake of it in order for her to practice. I'm pretty sure K-Storm's not going to come over here to tell us. Are you, honey? No, she's very much shaking her head like, no. Because
she's leaving that up to interpretation.
I
Then
don't even know myself.
if you guys heard her, because she said,
yeah, close enough.
Because sometimes I don't even know myself.
But no, Angel does bring a good point. It does leave it up for interpretation because art is subjective.
Yeah.
And in that case, like Kojima, whenever he wants to create a video game, he has an idea he wants to convey, and however we interpret that idea is our interpretation. Maybe you wanted to be a little bit more proactive in Death Stranding, so you want to load up on the resources for you to be able to have more rope on hand from the get-go. Maybe you want to be able to transport your goods a little bit more efficiently. So maybe you want to invest in getting your little motorbike upgraded if you want. There's different ways. There's more than one way to roast a chicken. I was gonna say skin a cat, but we don't want to skin cats here. That's rude.
I knew that game was something special when there was, I think it was mission either 5 or 7, that it requires you to, it's a simple cargo delivery mission, but the area has a very high amount of BTs because you're going between basically 2 small canyon mountains. But then I looked at the map and I'm like, what is stopping me from going just around the mountain if I have enough supplies? Guess what was stopping me?
Nothing.
Nothing at all. It took longer, obviously, but there was nothing stopping me from going, you know what, this area over here looks a little safer. There was that time that, it got really close and dicey because the rain came down and I had to find shelter real quick. But aside from some minor damage to the cargo, absolutely nothing. If you want to get the high S rank, then yeah, you're expected to start working on crafting your shit grenades at that point and your piss cannon and your
actual grenades made of your excrea. Wow. Kojima
hey, listen,
really
if it works. No, he was beyond that. Like, do you know that if you throw your blood grenade and you shoot your gun through it, your guns get coated in blood so you can kill the BTs at a distance? The game doesn't tell you that.
Know that.
Yeah. You know that bolo weapon you can use to tie up like enemies?
Yes.
If you hit them in the head, it's an automatic knockout, no matter how strong they are. All health gone. It's also a non-lethal knockout, so it helps with the not boiling out and wiping out the whole country because you fucked up a pizza delivery.
Yeah,
but the point is,
we don't want that.
The game decides, listen, here's this huge terrain with ups and downs, slopes, falls, and difficulty. You got your tools and whatever other players leave for you. You have the freedom to go where you wish and how you want to do it. All you got to do is deliver the package. How you do it, well, that's up to you. And as you get more resources, eventually, you connect the world and you see what the players leave for you, that you can also leave for them. And he put that there on purpose. He specifically made it so you never talk to or see another player directly because he wanted to emphasize the theme of not just imposed loneliness, but self-inflicted loneliness. Don't forget, aside from the whole issue with the story and what happened to the main character, Sam suffers from haptophobia.
Wait,
he's afraid of being touched.
Oh God, that's right. He's still. Oh shit, you're right. I've forgotten
Yeah,
about that. How can I forget that about Sam Bridges? Shit.
because Kojima likes to make it obvious. Listen, this is one thing that people overcomplicate. People always think that Kojima goes out of his way to confuse people. No, no, no. He goes out of his way to explain everything to you. By the end of the game, you will know what happens. But I don't know how to explain it. I think people gaslight themselves when it comes to Kojima. They expect things to be way more complicated than they actually are because his ideals are very wild, but they have simple, non-complicated explanations. Like, seriously, the entire plot twist with the final boss is literally a pun on the whole ropes and sticks thing. Sam Porter Bridges hugs. Oh yeah, by the way, spoilers for the Death Stranding, I guess.
Yeah. It's been out for.
Yeah,
it's fine.
it's been out for a while. Okay, so the president in Death Stranding is called Bridget Strands, and and her soul literally becomes the sixth extinction entity known as EE. So Sam literally bridges himself by hugging her at the end. I'm not kidding. And her name is Samantha America Strand, known as Amelie. So Sam Porter Bridges literally hugs Samantha America Strand, bringing them together to end the process. He literally made this whole game for a dumbass pun. That's it. It's not that complicated. Ropes and sticks. The whole deal is.
I never thought of it that way. Jesus.
Yeah, no, that's the whole thing. And here's the best part, though, how simple it is. There's layers to the simplicity. The whole game is, Sam, you have to make this chiral network to connect the world and America. And then it's revealed that Samantha America Strand is trying to use the network to trigger a void out so powerful that it will destroy the whole goddamn universe. During the final confrontation, all you have with you is a gun, aka your stick, to keep things away. But to win, you're supposed to put away the gun, approach Amelie, and hug her. You become the
bridge.
You become the bridge. You become the rope.
And bridges America together.
That's it. It is
bring
that
America
simple.
Together in the embrace of Norman Reedus and his funky feet.
That simple. That's the thing. Everybody keeps thinking that he's trying to make it complicated. No. Kojima has a very direct idea of what he wants to give you. He's going to throw a lot of weird shit at you, but when you get down to it, it's not that complicated. What's the plot of Metal Gear 1? A twin brother who is possessed by an inferiority complex and wants to destroy the world to prove that he's the best. The lesson of the game is your genes do not defy you. Right. What's the plot of Metal Gear 2? We're going
Metal
to
Gear Solid 2. We don't want to confuse the old games.
Thank you. Metal Gear Solid 2. Once again, it is not your genes that define you, it's the ideals you pass on to the future. You may try to turn a person into another one, but ultimately you cannot stop them from taking their own individuality. What's the plot of Metal Gear 3? War is not black and white. The enemy of today could be the enemy of tomorrow. Do not let your patriotism blind you to the flaws of your own country. What's Metal Gear 4?
Don't eat the tree frog.
Also don't eat the tree frog. What's Metal Gear 4? Soldiers are people too. Do not attempt to turn soldiers into a machine. No matter how hard you try, you can never completely digitize war. That's it. These are very easy to understand concepts. He just makes this fantastic world and characters revolve around them. And then he tells you the ideas over and over again. Kojima doesn't hide anything from you. If anything, he's
very
brutally honest about how he's telling you.
The thing is that he's got you point A to point B, but in order for you to even think about point B, you need to go to point A A through Aardvark, all the way over, and then you end up like A through Epsilon, you went into the Greek alphabet, and then finally, after understanding everything in point A, then you have to start understanding everything in point B. And then, after you go B through Bardvark, that's when you actually can connect the points. But it's still
even the games...
There's just a whole lot of Mishigas in the meantime.
Yeah, no.
Even the games Sorry, go ahead.
No, I was going to say, like Angel said, his games his approach is not that complicated. Although I can understand how easy it is for folks to make that conception that his games are far too complex to understand. They may, like hell, I'll even go so far as argue that they probably think that Kojima's art is far too out there for them to understand.
Good. That's the point. People fear the things that they find different, and the same applies to pop culture. Actually, hang on, going back to it, what was the main deal of the PSP game Peace Walker is literally do not pursue the legacy of another person too deeply, or you're going to get lost into what you consider your own dream. Even Revengeance, which admittedly didn't have as much input from him, still has a very simple idea of you can never truly escape your past, but you cannot let it define you completely. You can still use it to force forward a new future.
Angel?
And you know that people will fight for ideals they don't believe and wars that are not their own, but you gotta find your own war to fight.
But the most important lesson that was taken away from Revengeance.
What?
Never, ever fuck with Denver.
Never fuck?
Never fuck with Denver, Colorado. Play Revengeance for
never go to
yourselves,
Denver,
and you'll see what I mean.
By the way, yeah, no, bro, they weren't even trying to put him in. He was just trying to give him a ticket with a bullet on it.
It was literally like a speeding ticket, and all of a sudden, boom, whatever.
Yeah.
Also, I need to get into the chat here, the live chat.
Go ahead.
Let's see here. Let's see. We need more of yeah, Sarah Serenity's back, saying I'm not a fan of modern art in that way, but I get it. Saying struggler when I was showing K-Storm's art. Sarah Serenity, I see crystals and stained glass. Let me see here. Death Stranding won the most awards, and I'm thinking about cosplaying a female version of Sam Bridges. I love Norman Reedus so much. Fun fact, Norman Reedus gave a favorite game series is Silent Hill. That's why he was invited to be part of Hideo's games. I need to finish the game, but I think I might just start over. I'm excited for the second one coming up. I fucking love Norman Reedus so much. Let me see here. Also, Matthew Coburn's in the chat. Hey up there, Matthew Coburn. Welcome to the Blackfiles. Struggler, details like that is why I love Japanese made games. It is so dumb. I love you. Gene Meme Scene. Don't forget, okay, it's Gene Meme Scene Sense Peace for Peace Walker and Revenge in Phantom Pain and
Revengeance
and Metal Gear Solid 5. Let the group know what I said in the message there. Thank you for that. Sarah Serenity sent me a private message. She said, okay, she's shared a pair of autographs that she got from Norman Reedus. And,
nice.
Let's see. He gave me a heart on the Death Stranding one, and we shared an intimate moment. He literally wouldn't stop looking at my eyes as I was talking to him, and when he was being cute with Silly String, I smiled and he smiled bigger.
Oh my goodness.
Nice.
Oh my.
The local man needs to have fun.
Oh
now,
my.
Going back to the main key, though, we're talking here, Mr. Kojima and his design ideas. As he's being praised by the members of his team, and Guillermo del Toro, you can tell that for all the insane stuff that he says, they really do like to work with this guy. Because he treats them well, and more importantly, he's earnest with what he's saying. As Strugger says, he wants to make video games. Yeah, he wants to make video games that feel like movies, but like in a good way. It's still a video game. He's not ashamed of, which I always find genuinely ironic. Kojima fucking loves movies with all of his heart and soul, but he chose to enter the video game industry, and he has never stopped making video games. He says that he would like to direct a film sometime, but he has never expressed regret in his chosen profession. When you compare it to some of the directors of today who very clearly do not give a crap about what they're doing and they just want to get that Netflix deal, both comic authors and video game makers that seem to genuinely disdain their mediums because they feel like they're not serious enough. Meanwhile, our man here not only has been declared a proper author of video games, thank you, he made a game that is considered to be one of the greatest, if not the first and greatest example of postmodernism in video games. There is a reason to this day that Metal Gear Solid 2 is held as the standard of the game is fucking with the player right now.
It really was like it literally one of the first searches you get when you type in Metal Gear Solid 2 is like what is a freaking Reddit thread from 10 years ago saying why is MGS2 an example of postmodernism?
It is like the proper thing.
Okay, so like it's wonderful over here. Wow. Okay,
Hideo Kojima is literally changing the game. He's a game changer.
Yeah. Literally the game changer because nobody has the balls. I mean, who else can walk up to the executives of Sony and go, I'm going to make a game where you spend 70% of the time walking? It's going to sell millions.
And it did.
Like, bro, that is crazy. Even before like the budgets began to balloon at ridiculous levels, going with that kind of definition to a big company like Sony or Xbox, the guys that made Call of Duty, Halo, Gears of War, they get you laughed out of the room. And that man just strolled there, slapped his dick on the table, and went, "You're gonna give me the money for this. It's gonna work out. It's gonna be great."
No, he didn't even need to. He doesn't even need to. Look at this wonderful man. Look at this Kojimbo here. He is a himbo Kojimbo. All right.
Also, give me all of the famous stars that I like.
Kojimbo.
I'm gonna hang out with all of them.
All right. Do you think he even needs to whip out his dongle? No,
he doesn't.
He doesn't.
He flew in like a summer child.
No, he just
spreading cheer in his wake.
All right, you got to remember, Kojima is basically a Japanese version of a flower child, as a hippie growing up. That's why he's so anti-war. That's why he's so anti-nuke. He was literally raised as a little hippie in the 60s and 70s, man.
To be fair, though, considering what his parents experienced, is it any surprise he wouldn't like to see conflict?
I mean, of course not. That goes without saying. But I digress. He's going to have far out shit, and he's going to have far out ideas, and the fact that he's able to convey them and get people to go get on board with them is fucking astounding.
It makes people think.
Like,
yeah,
know that brain
that's
thing,
what he did.
Use it.
When he was a child, he literally said, "I could always think up stories because I spent a lot of time alone because mom and dad were working."
Right. I was
the first thing I did.
Kid. I think he was.
Yeah.
He said that he was one of the children who was who walked home from school in like third or fourth grade or whatever, and so he was given a key to the house, and that was one of those animated bits in the documentary too, where it was like where you see like an animated version of like little Hideo opening the door and none of the lights in his house are on and it feels foreboding and all that, but then he's like taking a deep breath, turns on the lights, like, okay, it's just my home, I'm home and I'm safe, kind of thing. And it's so fucking sweet. It's so fucking cool, man.
It's nice. It's nice to see that he had inspiration because there were so many ways and points in his life where this could have failed. As I said earlier, Hideo has been swimming against the current for a long time. From the day he started going into games and basically nobody supported him, to the day he proposed his first Metal Gear game and nobody in the team went, "This is gonna work." Like, bro, the cooks were not trusting the chef. And he has been proving everybody wrong again and again and again. Okay, fine. He's rich and famous now, but his story is one of constant underdog-like triumph. Because, okay, let's be honest, to be fair, he was working for fucking Konami. Even at the height of his fame, they were not letting him do what he wanted to. So while there is more risk on, having your own studio, being able to truly express all of your ideas and go as wild as you can, there is a risk, obviously. There is a chance that it won't work. Pushing the envelope comes with dangers. No. There might come a point where people might turn on him because they don't like his most recent product. There might come a point where he himself says that he produces a flop. But someone has to do it. Because if he doesn't do it, then who the hell is going to challenge us and go, "You know what would be cool? A game about thing that you never thought would be cool before." Let's do it.
Angel, I want to interject with something here. Now, I want to ask you a question. Another possible factor. Do you think that it's also because that Konami at the time, like, let's say for the sake of this argument, in the mid-2000s, that Konami didn't predict that Hideo Kojima was going to get as popular as he was going? Like, they didn't predict that his meteoric rise was going to happen?
Honestly, I think you might be right on that. It is true that Hideo Kojima was like really big, but the fact that he wanted to end the series with Metal Gear Solid 2 and they still made him do 3 and then 4, it's pretty clear. Yeah. It's pretty clear they were not expecting him to get this big, and that was their first mistake. They thought that they could just milk him, that he could just keep doing Metal Gear forever. Doesn't help that, God, you see how they treat the other series. Silent Hill is one of the best psychological horror franchises on Earth, and every installment after 3 has become increasingly shittier because Konami they've gone the way of the very pachinko machines that they promote so much. They gotta make money.
Which is why when what's his face, the announcement of that Silent Hills PT demo came out, people lost their fucking minds because this was all a proof of concept, and apparently all this was kind of done behind Konami's back. But how on earth can any sane or right-minded company when you've got all these different successful IPs that people like and people have a passion for? How can you sit there and look at a concept on paper? Remember how this was plugged up. Hideo Kojima partners with Guillermo del Toro in rebooting Silent Hill starring Norman Reedus. Those 4 elements immediately should be screaming, shut up and take my money, or shut up and let's give you guys all the money, let's make this shit happen. And instead, what does Konami do? They shoot him in the ass and fucking knock on him for it afterwards. Because apparently, some of the budget for MGSV went into making the Silent Hills PT playable trailer. So, oopsie, he kind of got a little ahead of himself.
It was good.
It's still the fact that so good that to this day people are losing their shit for for when it comes to like getting a hold of an old school ass PlayStation 3 that has the Silent Hills PT demo or a
yeah, that thing is, if that thing gets deleted from that PlayStation, you are never getting it back.
Never getting it back. Never.
It's
real quick,
so Jover.
because I know she won't leave me be unless I show it. Sarah Serenity wanted me to share this for you guys.
Oh.
I fucking love Norman Reedus!
Also, Sarah, water is wet. And so are your panties whenever you think of Norman Reedus. But I digress.
Oh my goodness. All right.
Oh, but by the way, since we're talking about guys who are going off and doing their own thing, I would like to take a brief moment to make a shout out to a guy who I really respect. His name is Sungu Park. And he is the guy who used to work for MAPPA Studios. But he was so dissatisfied with the way that they treated him that he ran off and did his own studios, E&H Productions with Sola Entertainment. And he recently released an anime called Ninja Kamui, which is basically John Wick, but with ninjas. In fact, it's just John Wick combined with Ninja Assassin. And it is the hottest shit, with some incredible fight choreography, some excellent voice acting, and some of the most beautiful gore I have ever seen. Highly recommended to anybody out there.
Ninja Kamui. All right. Apparently,
by Sungu Park.
Yep, I'm actually showing it here. Shit, I'm gonna have to look this one up.
He also directed the first season of Garo Vanishing Line, the first season of Jujutsu Kaisen, and the movie Jujutsu Kaisen 0. My boy knows what's up. He knows. Okay. He knows fighting choreography.
It just came out on Adult Swim on Toonami this month. So it just came out here. So
3 episodes out so far, and goddamn it, I am loving every moment of it.
Right,
it's great.
Go ahead.
But yeah, it's no surprising that Konami would treat Hideo Kojima the way he did on even when with Kojima on his way out, because of their, I guess you could call it professional jealousy, because they feel that, you know,
this isn't professional jealousy, Jose. This is corporate stupidity.
Yeah, okay, I was going to say corporate jealousy.
No, it's not a matter of jealousy. It's stupidity, Jose. Like, okay, I hate to bring it back to Lucas, but I'm afraid I'm going to have to bring it back to George Lucas. What was one of the fucking...
Well, no, you didn't even let me finish my point, because the Konami feels like it reflects...
You finish your point. Go ahead.
All right, Juan, because of the folks at Konami, they feel like it reflects badly on them as a company.
It does. Unironically, yes, it does. I think that is more of those ¿por qué no los dos scenario? Because there is a rumor, unconfirmed, don't quote me on this, that Kojima has some personal beef with one of the Konami producers because they were basically wasting huge amounts of budget in promoting more pachinko machine garbage instead of giving it to him to do his projects. And mind you, this is just a rumor, but what they did to that man at the end of the production, like, that had to be personal.
Likely was because that they show whenever they're trying to get someone to fucking quit, that they'll show in when it comes to Japanese work culture, that they will ostracize the fuck out of someone until they either give up or they're like they don't have any good excuse to fire him, so they make it impossible for him to work, so that he's forced to resign.
Yeah, to cook something.
Bastards.
Especially considering that Kojima himself was on the board of directors at Konami at the time, if I remember correctly.
Yep.
That's why weren't very respectful of the man. I'm sorry, Jose. I wasn't trying to cut you off. I apologize, but
You're fine. You're fine. You were going to tell me the difference between the
With Lucas.
yeah, Lucas. Okay, getting back to George Lucas, he fucking called it forever and a day ago when he was talking about the studio system of Hollywood, how everything is run by corporations and how we've got all these studios becoming mega conglomerates and all that shit. We've seen it happen now. We're living through it. How many fucking times has Time Warner merged with other fucking companies and tried to absorb shit? How much crap are we getting out of the fact that Disney is buying up our childhood? And what?
Too many compromises, too many quote mergers.
That's not the part of the point that I'm making. The part of the point that I'm trying to make of all that is that Lucas was saying even back in the day that corporations don't understand art. They do not understand, like, just by their nature, they cannot understand art. What they understand are products. They understand this product sells well. I'm going to do more of this, which is why he was always 100% independent with his productions on his movies and how he wrote stuff and how he produced shit. Lucasfilm Limited, until it was bought out by Disney, was, for lack of a better term, an independent film studio. Just run by one guy doing one guy's fucking movies, the Star Wars movies and Indiana Jones and shit like that. He would release it and he would partner with 20th Century Fox, with Paramount for the Indiana Jones movies, with Universal Pictures for American Graffiti. He would partner with these other studios in order for them to release it, but the actual production was all his. From that point, and that way he could keep his artistic integrity while still having to work with the finaglings of corporate Hollywood. It's sort of the same thing happening with Kojima. In order for him to be able to express himself properly, and because the work culture in Japan had gotten so bizarre and batshit, especially within Konami, to get to the point where he was either fed up and he left, or they fired him because they're idiots, that he went independent on his own. That's why KCE Japan, like Konami Computer Entertainment of Japan, was colloquially known as Kojima Productions. And then he got it named Kojima Productions. And then when they fired him, they disbanded that. And so he's like, fine, I'll just make Kojima Productions an actual independent game studio for gaming, in order to merge the humanity and play together, in order to create the ideal Homo Ludens. And it would be the most fantastic fucking thing for people to fucking experience.
In an effort to connect the world.
Don't forget, the first thing he said when the documentary started was, one of the things that fascinated him during the 2015 events that caused him to begin cooking the idea of Death Stranding was, in his own words, the world is connected 24/7, but the people are not connected to one another. Like that shit stuck to him, and he wanted to create something that highlighted that sense of, we can speak to one another, we can communicate, we can use our technology to make our lives better. It's something that really highlights to a huge chunk of his entire working career, which makes it somewhat tragically ironic that Konami had been relying so much on Kojima that there was people, I gotta be honest with you, when I was younger, I used to think that Kojima was like the CEO of Konami, and not that he was just a developer working for there, because his name, or rather the company, became synonymous to his name. He got so big that when I say Konami, people think Kojima, even when Kojima is no longer working there anymore. Which makes it even better that when he left, the first thing they did was grab the Metal Gear IP and try to sell you the equivalent of a live service game with it. It even had zombies.
Yeah, Metal Gear Survive, I saw. It was dumb.
And so it was so bad that it died very quickly, ironic. But the fact that it was filled with zombies, like, that is so on the nose, only a moron could make that by accident.
Imagine Konami creating a Metal Gear game that died faster than the tanker incident.
Incredible.
Oh, Mr. Geek Meow was asking if we saw the movie trailer to Borderlands yet. I saw it. I'm hopeful.
Yeah.
I gotta be honest with you. Aside from Jack Black being Claptrap, I'm not feeling much. But then again, I play those games and I I like the first one. I did not care about the writing from the second one onward. It felt like it was trying too hard to be funny. I'll give it a shot, but I'm skeptical for this one.
Cautiously optimistic.
Expectations set firmly at 0. If I get at least a few good laughs out of it, I'm not complaining.
Yeah, it
Okay.
looks all right, and like I said, I'm hopeful. We've got good actors in there, so it's gonna be fucking funny. And like I said, the one thing that I'm really impressed with that they got the new girl Ariana Greenblatt playing as Tiny Tina.
Yeah, not too tiny to be honest with you. It's more like mid-sized Tina, but okay.
Yeah, well, considering that she's the one doing all the running around and shit, like, okay, she nailed every role that she knocked out of the park so far. She was in the Barbie movie. She played young Gamora in Infinity War.
That was her.
And she was young Ahsoka in the Ahsoka live action series. That was her.
Cool.
Nice.
Yeah, so
okay, so we know she can do a good role. Now let's see if she can do another one.
And it looks like she had fun doing it, so it looks like it's going to be a good time. And you're right, Sarah Serenity, Konami fucked up Royal. But you know what? That's not the important part. The important part is that this documentary, this little 58-minute fucking thing, was a nice little homage to Kojima and sort of like a mission statement if you think about it. But apparently, one thing that folks have to remember, this documentary wasn't just premiered like now. It was originally premiered at the Tribeca Film Festival in June last year. But it got distribution through Disney and Hulu, which is why we're able to watch it and stream it and, get it in other means. So fun times are had by all. But back in 2023, when the actual documentary came out, folks were looking at it with a pretty good eye, except for one group. Angel.
And this is the part where I fucking have to rage, because god damn it, we can't have one Wednesday night and not bring up any bullshit.
Because we cannot escape the bullshit of Wednesdays.
Angel?
You remember that time, Joe, when you and I were like fucking Tuesdays? Turns out fucking Wednesdays was the more appropriate term.
Angel, do you remember when I told you? Because of course they did?
Because of course they did.
Are you watching the stream, Angel? Are you able to see what I have on the screen?
I'm waiting. My stream is like a second slower than yours. Give me a minute here.
I'm waiting for Angel's
Okay,
response.
let me check this out. Let me refresh my stream. Okay, what am I supposed to be looking at here? Oh. You think that you hate game journalism, but you don't hate them enough. You should hate them some more.
Say it with me, man. Because of
course they did.
Of course they did.
From Kotaku last year by Ashley Barden. Ashley, I'm sorry for your loss of your sense of Kino. The Hideo Kojima documentary is the worst kind of fan service. Wow. She did not pull any fucking punch. Like, Hideo Kojima...
Did she just close her eyes and shut down her ears?
What's that?
Did she just close her eyes and shut her ears? What?
I'm guessing.
Oh, boy.
Let me actually read what she fucking wrote over here.
Yeah, let's look for the main bullet points. I don't want to give this person any more spotlight.
No, but I want to see exactly how she lost the plot here. Hideo Kojima Connecting Worlds, PlayStation Studios, and Konami Kojima Productions' hour-long documentary on Metal Gear Solid creator Hideo Kojima is too in awe of its subject to see him clearly. Premiered at the Tribeca Festival on June 17th, the documentary inflates Kojima's mythology as an untouchable auteur until it totally obscures him like a cloud. And in times when it's clear that he is only a man, it hides him again behind his work with impressive shots of 2019 game Death Stranding. Kojima, to his credit, seemed skeptical that this was the right approach. At the Q&A following the Tribeca screening, he quickly dismissed a worshipful comment from Kojima Productions developer made in the movie. No, he's not a prophet. I don't see the future, he said. I'm living just like you. unquote. There were some mild factual inaccuracies in the movie too that appeared to needle him. In particular, there's animation sprinkled throughout, mostly representing Kojima's childhood spent living through sci-fi books, picturing how his life could be made more incredible through technology. But he grew up in the northern region of Osaka, not the southern region like the animation depicts. Kojima said during the Q&A panel without being prompted. Let's see. Anyone could have known that and double-checked it had they read his essay collection, The Creative Gene, in 2021. Anyone could have known all of that, all of what little personal information the documentary offers, if they were familiar enough with Kojima to have read or seen his existing writing and interviews. For example, Connecting Worlds spent some time on Kojima identifying as a latchkey kid, returning daily to an empty, unlit house because his parents were always working. A New York Times profile already discussed it in 2020. Like, I'm over here like, why are we shitting on this? Like, this is a fucking... The documentary is made as like a, hey, here's Hideo Kojima 101, here's what you should know about the guy. Is that so fucking hard? We're introducing the world to why he's such a big...
Because she's trying to go out of her way to discredit the information that's in the video.
Or just take the piss out of it and make it feel like it's like diminishing it. Angel, would you agree with me?
No, that's not correct.
Angel, would you?
You know what the saddest thing is about this? Oh no, I agree. But you know what kotaku means? Otaku is obviously a pun at the fanatic fans of a West Eastern production.
Yep.
Ko means small in size, so kotaku technically means the small obsessive fan. And yet, just with this one, just with every other journalistic production of the West, this feels like the definition of, come on, guys, he's not that cool. Well, guess what, missus? He really is that cool. And he's humble, too, so I can respect that. Man, what is it with all this like journalism and this raging xenophobia against Japan? No, like, they refuse to give them their due respect. I don't get it.
It's fucking
I guess they
bizarre.
refuse to... I guess it's like, here's my theory. I think it's coming from the fact of like, there's no way this guy's all that, or it's too good to be true, or some shit like that.
The man who literally rewrote video game history 3 times in a row. There's no way he's that cool, guys. Come on, guys, come on. He's not that cool. Guys, come on. Look at him. Even he's saying he's not that cool. This is funnier because... Sorry, go ahead.
Sorry, I'm actually gonna, like, since you kind of really went on this, man, I actually want to get in on with the fucking thing on this article. I'm gonna show you guys. Connecting Worlds is for the superfan who is terrified to challenge Kojima's reputation. It avoids the topic of Konami, which Kojima left behind after 3 decades, establishing both his career and cementing a somewhat angsty reputation altogether, and spends the majority of its runtime on cherry-picked moments from Death Stranding's production. There are several breathtaking scenes from gameplay, which enforce the idea that Kojima is creating things inconceivably larger than life, but when something isn't beautiful, we see Kojima provide fastidious, fatherly guidance from over developers' shoulders, but the camera doesn't linger on their drowsy eyes. Are you fucking kidding me? Okay.
So she's basically saying he cannot possibly be a good boss. Like, this person is so used to like companies treating their workers like shit that she's like, there's no way Kojima can be a good boss. Like, yeah, no shit, everybody's sleep deprived. Funny how she doesn't mention that Kojima himself looks also fucking sleep deprived.
Too good to be true.
Like,
yeah.
You want to know what this sounds like? This sounds like, and Jose, I think you're gonna love this and hate this at the same time. Do you remember last week on Wrestle Rewind when we were discussing the shit happening on Twitter with O'Shea Jackson Jr.?
Yes.
And how he was basically saying, like, hey, if you want people to enjoy professional wrestling like AEW, I want to know who these wrestlers are. I want to know why they're fighting. I want to know why this is such a big deal. Not just have to, you have to know, and if you're not a super fan, then you're the worst kind of fucking thing. It's like this lady is accusing the Kojima diehards of being this kind of super fan and being unable to fucking see it, and she's like gatekeeping on behalf, like, how dare you try to make this guy larger than life? He is a flawed person and he's not the greatest person on planet Earth, when in actuality he hasn't really shown much in terms of his work ethic, in terms of his career, in terms of the interviews that he's gotten, where he's had anything less than, like, nothing but ideal fucking stuff to say about the people working under him and how he wants to have everyone included in his pursuit of getting these ideas out of his head. So tell me, Jose, does that parallel fucking exist here? Where it's like, oh, the gatekeeping fans are like, oh, you're just sucking on AEW's dick, and you. And
I can
you're
see
not a
I can
diehard,
see
you
where the
don't care.
I can see where the parallels lie, Juancho. I get the idea.
And this thing is trying to
Yeah.
basically say that the Kojima fans are the same way, that we're never going to question Kojima. No, we'll say if something's dumb. He does a lot of dumb shit in his movies, in his games. Look at that, in his movies. Like, okay, what was the one fucking thing in the first Metal Gear Solid game? One fucking thing that almost everyone on the first time that you ever played the game, what did we all miss? Angel, you know the answer.
I do? Hang on.
You do.
I'm sorry, I cannot recall what you mean.
Juan, you're gonna have to give him
You
a
don't
couple
recall?
of clues to help.
Why, simple.
Juan, help him.
Angel, perhaps you just need to look at the back of the case. Look at the back of the
That's
CD
right.
case. That.
The fact that Kojima basically goes, yeah, you better have a full copy of the game, otherwise you are literally not going to be able to finish the goddamn game. Unless the internet exists at that point.
Which it did. The point is,
But
he did a lot of stupid shit. He did a lot of really weird shit. Oh, I'm going to have a psychic guy, and he's going to show he has psychic powers by turning on the rumble function on your PlayStation controller. But what if you had one of the original PlayStation controllers that didn't have the rumble function? What if you had
I guess
that? Then what's
I
he going to
guess
do?
nothing.
Nothing.
Then he'll be like, you suck, and game you over immediately.
And,
Even the greatest pioneers in entertainment can still run afoul to making a few mistakes or
No, it's
making
not a
something.
mistake. It's just something stupid. It's
I
just
was going to say
worse.
Come on, you let. Come on, man.
What's that, Jose?
I was going to say
Go ahead.
or making bizarre choices. Bizarre was what I was trying to go for.
Switch the port of the controller now. You have 5 seconds before Mantis throws a rock at you.
No, another one here. The battle with the Hind D. You better have a 1998 television set with stereo speakers. Because if you have an old school mono speaker television, the game shames you on that. They poor shame you. Back in 1990 fucking 8. How fucked up is that? Do you remember that? You don't remember that, do you guys?
It's been a long time, but
Okay,
yes.
in the battle where you have to fight the helicopter, Liquid in the Hind D, you actually get the codec call from the colonel. It's like, use your ears, Snake. Listen around for him. Wait. You only have a mono television set? Wow, that is so strange. Huh. And even Naomi gets in a mono TV. I don't believe it. That's okay, Snake. You can work
Damn.
with this. Being a good soldier doesn't always mean having the newest technology and having a really nice TV. This will work for you as it is. You'll figure it out, Snake. And Naomi's still.
Imagine
mono
the game
TV.
shaming you for being broke ass.
I don't remember
Well-
anyone saying anything positive when they discovered that shit in the early days of the internet and video game discourse. But when they found it, they lost their shit, didn't they?
Yeah,
Yes,
I
we
mean,
did.
it's pretty impressive that he would even consider that something like that would happen, to the point that he would put the actual NPCs talking shit to you because of it. But when you get down to it, from a practical standpoint, you just made the boss fight twice as hard. That's not fun for anybody, especially over something that you cannot control.
But
Yeah,
I think,
no,
but I think,
the man-
but I
the man
think
is not
folks
perfect.
watching get the- yeah. But I think the folks who are watching right now, I think they get the point. This whole article from Kotaku, specifically from this journalist, and I'm saying it in quotations, you can't see it because I'm not visual. Yeah, no,
It's okay. I'll do the quotes for you. Say one more time.
Yeah, this
Of course.
journalist.
There you go.
Yeah, no, I'm sorry. That article is just absolute garbage. She has not sat down and played a video game.
No, it sounds like, no. See, this person has been in this for a while. Their job is to report. And their job is to basically glaze the Western industry and talk as much shit or as little praise about the Japanese game as possible. Now, while Kojima himself admits that, yeah, there's a couple of things that they go wrong in the documentary, I don't believe the documentary is trying to glorify him per se, aside from those really cool cinematic shots where he just walked around the city dripped out of his mind. But ultimately, I think he did his job perfectly fine. And what's wrong with the documentary trying to make him look good? The man deserves it. And more importantly, there is the subtle insidiousness. When she mentions that the documentary doesn't speak about his history with Konami, you know what she's saying there, right?
Oh, he would be nothing without Konami.
Yeah, she's basically saying, what about the part that was your fault? Because during the time that he was let go, there was a lot of like preamble going around saying that he basically earned his firing by being uncooperative and difficult to work with and spending too much money on projects. And you know for a fact that the average game journalist would hang on to that because controversy is their bread, butter, and wine. So of course they would try to run into that shit. And of course she would try to basically say, why isn't this documentary saying more bad things about this man? Because they cannot stand the thought that the fans might actually give shit about what the developer says. They cannot stand the thought that the developer might actually be loved and respected because he beats a crap out of the product he's making. That's it.
But also, you have to remember what I said earlier. Like I said, man, art is subjective, so we can interpret this however we want. And she clearly misinterpreted the message, or and
sorry, go ahead, Izzy. Finish, because I was
no.
pull something up.
Well, no. That's basically what I was trying to say. Like, art is subjective, and so, and like you said, and like you also said earlier, Angel. You know, like his art's out there for us to interpret, and the same could be said for the Connecting Worlds documentary. So we took it one way. This journalist took it the other.
Yeah, and her order is wrong, and she deserves to be fired immediately out of a cannon into the ocean.
Fun fact. While we were discussing this, I discovered a little more about this lady, Ashley Bardan. She is a budding musician, and she has her Instagram full of different sketch art that she's been doing as well. So she is an artist in her own right. It's not bad art. It's definitely art. I wouldn't say it's bad art because it conveys her message, but at the same time, I don't see much video gaming experience in her Instagram or in any of her other expressions.
Well, then that's
so
just,
respectfully,
that tells me.
It's learning to she's got to learn a little bit more about the medium, or at least about the people.
Oh, Mr. Arouse, don't be silly. She's a game journalist. She's not supposed to know anything about video games.
Are we sure about that?
That's how video game journalism works, as far as my experience has taught me.
Well, it's dumb. Also, she's easy on the eyes, but I'm ashamed that she's easy on the eyes. But that's just me.
That is subjective one. Subjective knowledge of the subject is all I need to go to work for a video game journalism.
Oh, God.
It's the only line that doesn't need to go up.
Oh, God. Another freaking article that I found from Vulture of last year. The headline on it is a little bit nicer, but it still has that same sense of like, are you fucking kidding me, guys? It's the headline on it is Hideo Kojima is a genius. What else is new?
Yeah,
wow.
Let's not. All right,
they can't even compliment him properly.
Not without like throwing in like, yeah, we get it. He's awesome, but like,
well, good. Get it some more. Lord knows that his competition is not exactly putting out their best game out.
No, they're not.
Speaking of subjective art, that does lead into my favorite part of the documentary. Near the end, when Troy Baker was talking about the process of making a game and the art, he explains that sometimes games can do what no other show or movie can do effectively. And the best way to describe it is like this. You and I can go to a museum and we can look at a painting, right? And we can have a discussion about what the painting means to you and what it means to me and what we interpret of the painter's objective. But that doesn't compare to both of us grabbing a brush and painting something together. That is what video games do that other mediums just cannot do as effectively. Letting the player have a little freedom to do something, to essentially create the art, even if the canvas is already set up for them. The level of interactivity is something that cannot be matched, and that is something that Kojima has not forgotten. Interactivity. What the player does, how they do it, the consequences for what they do is one of the reasons why he's still well known and well respected. Because even if he goes to your office and tells you the wildest goddamn pitch of your life, you know there's going to be a good game in there at some point. At the basest, barest of minimum, he has not forgotten it. He has never stopped understanding the assignment. The problem is that this is physics class, and he started writing about math, and now next thing you know, he scribbled all over the goddamn walls.
No,
He turned in the
physics and
homework.
math are much more interconnected than you think, Angel. You put
Then
together
he was planning that too, that son of a bitch.
No, actually, Doctor Who said it in best, like in this one episode, like physics and he was back in time, and he met William Shakespeare, and there are these aliens who pose as witches, and there's like, oh my god, and he was with Martha Jones at that time, and he figured out what kind of aliens they are, and by naming their race, he made them disappear for a little while. It's like, wait a minute, that was magic. No, magic's just another form of science. Look at you lot. You put together a couple of numbers, you come up with the right equations, and you split the atom. These aliens work the same way, only their physics works through words, works through the meaning and the power of those words. That's how they work. So
that's a BT basically. So that means that Kojima invented Doctor Who, confirmed. The end.
No, it's more like
he also invented England, where Doctor Who takes place.
So, Angel, if Kojima invented England, that means that that England eventually joining the United Kingdom is Kojima's fault. So Kojima
that's
the
fault of England
itself.
Doesn't
exist because of him.
It exists as long as it's being observed by Kojima. The moment Kojima looks the other way, it doesn't.
Oh, god damn it. So it's a weekend
Schrodinger's union.
Oh
no, it's a beach.
It's a beach on the beach. Also, the writer of the Vulture article, Shannon Liao, I think we can give her a little bit more grace than we did the other artists, the other journalists, because this one, she's actually much more ingrained in video games and video gaming and the video game community than most others anyway. So I think hers take was a little bit more forgiving.
Okay.
Yeah, like I'll send you guys the articles, and I'll actually put it up in the chat so that everyone can see these articles for themselves.
I need a proper justification for my everlasting hatred against video game journalism.
Well, this one is actually this one's more like, okay, this journalist might not be 100%, but at least they're putting in more effort and they actually know the assignment. That other one was
in other words, we can tolerate this one, Angel.
Yes. This one is a nice one. They're not perfect, but they're a nice one. I know, Angel. It's okay. It's okay.
All right. I think we could pretty much bring this to a close.
I think we can stop here. It's already 12:30, and I gotta go to bed, man. I got work tomorrow.
Angel, one other thing. I know that we're not going to be able to do Los Amigos play this Saturday because
that's right.
We've all got a big prior engagement. You remember the thing we're doing, the bowling?
Yes.
Yeah. By the way, folks, letting you guys know. This week there will not be an episode of Los Amigos Play, but we are going to be doing this week's episode of the Ravensflock, namely because the Ravensflock are going to go bowling. We're going to go celebrate a friend's birthday at a bowling alley, and we're all going to go, and we're going to have a good time. But Angel, go ahead and give us your last thoughts, and let us know what we can expect on next week's edition of Los Amigos Play. Go right ahead.
Well, not much else to say. I love the documentary. I enjoy seeing a little, inside peek into the head of the insane ones, to figure out exactly how he works, and more importantly, seeing people's reactions around his work. The fact that the documentary more or less ends with Yoji Shinkawa saying, yeah, I'm pretty sure that he's like half prophet. I'm actually kind of scared of him. It's kind of all you need to know about that point. I look forward to seeing what he works on next. I may not like all of his games. Hell, stealth games alone I am complete shit at those. I am not good at stealth games. But I like his work, I like his ideas, and I like the fact that somebody out there, anyone out there, is willing to push the envelope and try to do something different. Even if they don't always succeed, the fact that he is, well, as Guillermo would say, the enemy of the algorithm. I hope that the algorithm gets more enemies in the future, because once upon a time, the video game industry was pushing boundaries and trying to find out what more amazing things they could do with technology. They stopped doing that when they realized that they discovered the one thing that makes money and they didn't want to do anything else. I want to go back to those wild, insane times of we don't know what they're going to make, but we're excited to see it. And right now, he's one of the few people that makes me feel that feeling. Know what I mean?
I know what you mean.
Okay. Well put.
Yeah. Maybe Jeff Keighley was right when he basically was like declare that he loved this man with his heart and soul. And I'm like, you know what, Jeff Keighley? You may be you might be the Pope of Doritos and Xbox, but at this moment you are just like me for real.
Yeah.
All right. All right, man.
All right, boys.
So next week, Los Amigos Play. What are we going to be doing?
Right. Next week, 5 p.m. Eastern Standard Time, Los Amigos Play will return to you with another episode of Metal Gear Solid 1, The Twin Snakes, a Hideo Kojima's game, where, under the hostship of myself, Mr. Juan Arauz will hold the controller and once again attempt to do the incredibly difficult task of not getting shot in the face every 5 minutes.
Which, for the record, I managed to do the last episode. I didn't die a single time. I might have gotten caught,
Very
but I
impressive.
didn't die.
Very impressive.
Fucking die.
I look forward to seeing his further improvement, and more importantly, who's gonna get into that high D now?
It's gonna be fantastic.
Later, boys. It's been
Angel,
great, but I got to go.
Yeah, go the hell to sleep.
All right, man. Have a good night.
Good night.
And that was Angel, guys. All right, Jose, go ahead and give us your final thoughts and let everybody know what we can expect on next week's edition of Wrestle Rewind. First, your final thoughts.
All right, my final thoughts. I enjoyed the documentary video. I thought that was really compelling. There's obviously a lot, and I'm going to be honest with you. Up until now, I didn't know much about Hideo Kojima outside of all the games that he produced, and I got to know a little bit more. I got to know a little bit more about him, and honestly, like his childhood upbringing is like a huge major what if, like in a time altered, like in a different timeline. If his father was still alive, I don't think Hideo Kojima would have the success that he does now. Would you agree?
I think so, yes.
Yeah, but that's just a small thing. But getting back to it, Hideo Kojima is without a doubt one of the greatest pioneers in all of entertainment. Like I'm saying all of entertainment because video game is included. Video game is a form of entertainment. And he's literally set the and here's the beautiful part about all of this. He's passionate. Like he's passionate about what he does. He does these things because he enjoys doing it, because he has ideals, he has beliefs, he has a dream, he has art, and he wants to convey that to the rest of the world. And he's very passionate about everything that he creates in all of his works. And that's what I like. That's what I like about Kojima. At the end of the day, he's doing it because he loves it. He's not doing it for any monetary gain. He's not doing it for any type of idealized competition with anyone else. He's just doing it because he wants to do it. He loves to do it. He has the love for it.
And that's really what the most you can expect out of anyone trying to do things differently when it comes to any sort of art form in entertainment. So yeah,
exactly, and that's what I like about him. The fact that he has this much love, this much passion for it, and the fact to go out of his way. Like even on days when he's off the clock, he still has things running in his head. Like he said in the documentary, that speaks a lot about his character. I'm not just him as a persona in the entertainment world, but him as a person in general, him as an artist.
And that's one of the reasons why we, over here at the Raven's Talk, we got nothing but love and respect for the guy. We make the fucking joke all the time, but we mean it sincerely with respect and with giving the man his due. Kojima is love. Kojima is life. Like, we say that shit and we like it looks like we're just sucking off on his dick, but we'll fucking call out when something's bizarre or we don't fucking get it. But like, damn if we're not enjoying the ride at the very least. He makes us enjoy the ride, right?
Yes, exactly.
Even when there's shit that we don't understand.
And speaking of which, like I said, I've said this many times already on this program, art is subjective. People can interpret it however they want. And yes, Kojima's going to have detractors because not everybody's going to understand what the hell he's trying to do or what the heck he's doing. And that's fine. They're allowed to have their opinions. But you cannot discount any of the work that he's put on the table. Like, come on, dude. Like he literally set the bar for video gaming all over the place, all around. Like
You can't overlook that.
You're damn right you can, and that's why we.
You can have your opinions. You can have your opinions, but there is no way you can overlook facts.
And the fact is he gets results, and those results have yielded an incredible amount of different messages and interpretations that people can get from his work. So yeah, fucking that's why we love this guy.
Exactly. And that's pretty much it. My take on it. For this week's edition of Wrestle Rewind, which is every Thursday night at 10 p.m. Eastern, right here on YouTube and Kick, along with our weekly reviews of WWE's NXT, AEW Dynamite, and TNA Impact, we will be reviewing the main event match for this year's WWE's Elimination Chamber, which was on Saturday, February 24th, over in Perth, Western Australia. Yeah, boy!
As well as the main event of TNA's pay-per-view, TNA Wrestling's No Surrender.
That's right. TNA No Surrender was on Friday, February 23rd, and we'll be talking about that as well. And I'm looking forward to it. It's going to be it's going to be a jam-packed episode, I'll tell you that.
But it'll be well jam-packed and it'll be fun because we're allowed to have that fun, right?
Absolutely. Fun is allowed. God damn it. If fun was not allowed, Kojima would tell us that. All right. Well, that's going to do it. So thank you very much, Juanjo, for having me on. And thank you, folks, for being awesome on the chat. And thank you very much, most importantly, for your patience for our earlier signal losing fiasco bullshit.
With the computer crashing is what happened.
Yeah. So all of you have a good night. Please be responsible of where you get your news from. And remember that at the end of the day, we're all human beings.
Damn right. All right. Good night, Jose. I'll see you tomorrow.
Good night.
And that was Jose Casabona. There we go. So, putting it simply, first off, I owe Sarah Serenity a little something on here because she's okay. I'm not gonna read that last one you just put up there, Sarah. What the hell? I don't need to know what that part smells like. Yeah. But I was gonna say here, Konami fucked up. I love Norman's smile and Kojima's a genius. Please read my messages. I want someone to throw me a surprise birthday party. I wish I could visit. Kojima's a genius with a good soul. Yep. It literally take my money. Also, I've decided that when I'm famous and wealthy, I'm buying EA and giving it to America McGee. Let's see here. EA needs to let America McGee release Alice Asylum. Now, let's see. How would everyone feel if I cosplayed a female Pyramid Head? That'd be cool, along with a snake or what's her face? What's his face? Or Sam Bridges. Give me a minute over here, guys. Sorry about that, folks. I just needed to mute myself for a moment. Sarah, honey, I love you, but I'm not putting that up on the chat. That was too weird for me. All right, and yeah, Lisa Boo, I appreciate you sticking around to the end. Yeah, this whole thing was basically an hour and a half long freaking fluff piece or whatever, but at the same time, we're trying to show folks why we're passionate about this guy and passionate about these video games. It's because they convey messages the same way people are passionate about books, movies, TV shows, cartoons, works of still art. You know, everyone's got different feelings regarding how we interpret things, and we all have the right to express that. That's why I was even showing, like, hey, this one person at Kotaku, she clearly missed the assignment. But at the same time, another one from Vulture Magazine, they are at least a little bit more understanding. Like, hey, this isn't just, hey, we're just going to jerk off Kojima for everyone. There's, like, you don't need to have a cynical or acerbic tone when talking about someone unless your goal is to try to diminish that person. Point is, we wanted to share something that we're passionate about here. What the hell you mean, my bad, LOL? You wrote that on purpose, hon. There's no my bad for what you wrote. I'm not showing that. But sheesh, girl, what the hell? The point that I want to make here is, guys, we need, the world needs more good news these days. And this documentary of Hideo Kojima felt like something that would be good news to share, something positive, something nice, something that helps break up the doldrums and the crazy shit that we usually cover on the Black Files. Because it, like I said, we normally step into the dark side of nerd and pop culture on the Black Files in order to expose the truth. And when it comes to this Kojima document, it's no different. Yeah, it's clearly a gloss piece, but at the same time, it's not lying to you. It's not like trying to tell you, oh, he's perfectly invulnerable. No, he tells you about the vulnerabilities he's got, and other folks even show why they find sort of trepidation working with him, because they're not sure what they're going to get out of his ideas until it's fully formed, and even then they worry about whether or not they're misinterpreting and wondering if they made a giant mistake in their careers. But he hasn't led people wrong before. He's not going to do it now. That OD the project he's doing with Jordan Peele and Death Stranding 2 on the beach that he's making right now, those are clearly designed to have new steps and new ideas in the world of video gaming, and I can't wait to see what happens. And whether it's positive or negative or whatever happens in between, you better believe that we'll definitely be covering it right here on this program, the uncensored and uncompromising interview and review podcast of the Ravens Flock, The Black Files, hosted by yours truly, Juan Arouse. As we delve into the dark side of nerd and pop culture, be sure to request access as we go live every Wednesday night at 10 p.m. Eastern Time, simulcasting on YouTube and Kick. Hit the subscribe or the follow button, ring the notification bell to stay up to date on all of our content, become an inner flocker by hitting the join button, and until next time, continue to follow us on Facebook.com/TheRavensFlock, Twitter.com/RavensFlock13, Instagram.com/TheRavensFlockOnline, Kick.com/TheRavensFlock, and of course, remember to hit the subscribe button and ring that tiny... Whoop, why did it reload? Twitter.com/RavensFlock13, Instagram.com/TheRavensFlockOnline, Kick.com/TheRavensFlock, and of course, remember to hit the subscribe button and ring the tiny little notification bell right here on our flagship platform, YouTube.com/TheRavensFlock, humble home of the Black Files, Los Amigos Play, Wrestle Rewind, and the Ravens Flock. For Jose Casabona and Angel Mendez, I'm Juan Arouse. This has been the Black Files, and we are out.